Joining me now live in studio is special guest, State Representative Ken Sweezey of the 6th Plymouth District. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Of course. Morning, Christine.
It was interesting. I heard you the other night. I overheard a conversation. We were both at a TIC event, and I just heard a little bit of Uber and Lyft drivers bypassing people that had service animals with them. And I couldn't believe that. I thought that this was like a long ago settled question about whether, guide dogs, et cetera, could get into transportation. And you brought this to my attention. I want you to tell our listeners a little bit about the committee you sit on and some of the testimony you've heard.
Yeah, of course. So great opportunity to just say thank you to all the volunteers that night, honoring people that do so much work for the Talking Information Center and, people that have disabilities. So as you mentioned, I sit on the Labor and Workforce Committee. We had a bill just 2 weeks ago come before us with an issue, as you mentioned, you wouldn't really think we'd be dealing with in 2025, with the success of the ADA law and everything that we have in this state and how strict people and how serious we take this. We heard really harrowing testimony from many people that have service animals and have sight issues that they can't get access to Uber and Lyft. For them, mobility is one of the biggest struggles in their daily life. Getting around, whether it's doctor's appointments, seeing family around holidays, anything, Uber and Lyft came about and became really a beacon or, a light in their life that they could get around. Right. And just hearing story after story of they could hear the cars drive up to them and then drive away when they saw their dogs. And it was hard. It was almost 2 hours of testimony of people that came down to the State House with their animals and told these stories. And it was really, really disheartening to hear. So I think we're making a step in the right direction here, taking a hard look at this and looking at Bill 2066, a House bill that's going to try to rectify this problem.
No, and it's not just one or two cases. You said they were testifying a couple hours. Now, again, I'm going to make the assumption, I know that you would hear years ago about someone maybe giving a person a hard time getting on a train or a bus, but I'm thinking, are the companies responsible or the drivers responsible? How does that work?
Yeah, personally, everyone is responsible for making sure that this issue gets rectified, right? I was just looking, and I think normal violations can be in the tens of thousands, multiple violations even in the hundreds of thousands if it goes through the Department of Justice at a regular business. Now, even some of the passengers admitted that drivers say they know the law and are just outright refusing. The companies now allegedly perform training modules for drivers, the Uber and Lyft, which as any employer is their responsibility. And, I think there's always ways that they can improve their system and improve their software and everything for drivers and riders that have disabilities alike. But I think the point was really made that, on the ground, when that person, the CEO of Uber and Lyft isn't there, right? When someone with a service animal is trying to get into a car, this is drivers willingly and often knowingly rejecting the law because they don't want a dog in their vehicle. So I think the point really did get across to the committee that the personal responsibility does also need to be borne by the driver. Now, they're not trying to impose debilitating fines and make sure they never drive again or anything like that. This bill would start off by imposing $500 fines, going up from there for subsequent offenses. So something that doesn't debilitate them as a contractor and someone trying to work in the economy, but making sure that they feel it so that this stops and we really get these people some help.
And you would think this would be an opportunity for corporate types from Uber and Lyft to come out and talk about we support any disabled person in our community, because it's very bad PR. Plus, people are animal lovers, and these service animals provide a tremendous. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a tremendous help for people that need to navigate with dogs, just because we've spoken to so many people here who do see the world through their service animals. Right. Now, did you hear anything that you said that some of the drivers admitted to knowing that they were not doing the right thing? What do they complain about? Is it dog hair? Are they afraid they're going to eat out of their candy dish?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right. And you understand, right? Uber and Lyft drivers are quote-unquote private contractors, still classified that way, so they're using their personal vehicles, and I'm sure we all have a family member that won't even let us eat in their car or something, or take our own pets. So, in that regard, when they're off the clock, that's totally fine and understandable, but the fact of the matter is you're a contractor providing a service, and the law is the law, and it's very clear that you must take passengers with service animals.
If people who are listening to this interview with you, Ken Sweezey, State Rep from the 6th Plymouth District, what can they do to show legislators that they support they would support some changes to make these drivers accountable.
Absolutely. What I highly recommend is you reach out. So this bill was just heard in front of our committee 2 weeks ago. So it has 60 days to get reported out. This is a new file, so we don't have any voting history previously on this exact bill. So reach out to your own state rep. Their emails are readily accessible on the Mass Legislature website. Again, this was heard in front of the Labor and Workforce Committee, so you can always address emails to the House and Senate chairs. This was filed by Representative Barber of Somerville. You can always let her know you support it as well. But please reach out to myself. You can submit written testimony for the next few weeks, so they will allow that until it gets reported out, essentially. So please write those emails, send it to the committee, send it to your own state rep, asking them to pass it along, and that will get to the committee and make sure that your voice is heard on H. Bill 2066.
And that is, again, to be able to allow these service animals who have, by right, should be allowed to get into Uber and Lyft, but it looks like these people are being denied their ability to do that. I hope this gets a favorable report, because I thought this was something that was settled a long time ago. We wouldn't bring that up. And again, State Representative Ken Sweezey, we're going to have you on again when we see we make some traction on this bill.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you for joining us today.